The seers of history. In every age, there are those rare individuals who see further than the rest, people who can peer over the horizon of events and calculate outcomes that seem impossible to others. One such man is Boris Kirillovich Zawada, a Soviet analyst who spent decades working in secret structures, studying empires, wars, and the fragility of nations. His predictions, time and again, came true with an almost frightening accuracy. And now, at the age of 84, living quietly in Poltava, he has chosen to break a decades-long silence. Not in books, not in official interviews, but here, directly to you, through this channel. He speaks not only to tell a story, but to warn, to reveal patterns that may decide the fate of a country, and perhaps the world. The birth of a vision. In the 1960s, Boris graduated from the Moscow Institute of Physics and Technology, one of the strongest technical universities in the Soviet Union. Almost immediately, he was recruited to work in structures dedicated to modeling the geopolitical consequences of regime changes. In simple terms, he built mathematical models predicting what would happen to the world if empires collapsed. His specialty was crises, fragmentation, and the division of states. "I know where this war will end," he says, "and it is not guesswork." From 1969 to 1987, Boris worked in a closed unit under the General Staff of the USSR in a sector devoted to the theoretical study of empire collapse, first on the British Empire, then on the Soviet Empire. In every document he wrote, one name appeared again and again: Ukraine. In 1984, he was asked to model the consequences of losing Ukraine, including its south and east. In a confidential memo, he wrote, "Ukraine will cease to exist as a unified system, but its phantom will become the foundation of a new reality." This was his first warning. Soon after, he was reassigned to the archives, removed from active work, and instructed to remain silent. Most of his research was classified, though now fragments are slowly emerging. The warning of 2023. When rockets struck his hometown of Dnipro in 2023, Boris contacted a journalist and spoke clearly. "We are approaching the finale, but not of war. The finale of a mistake we failed to correct in 1991. What was that mistake? He explained simply, "Ukrainians believe the greatest threat comes from the outside, but the truth is, it has always lain within. If Ukraine fails, it will not be because of missiles. It will be the exhaustion of society, the illusion of support, and the erosion of trust." He calls these the three traps, and today they are nearly uncontrollable. The trap of fatigue in 2022, the nation was mobilized to its limit. People sacrificed sleep and food. They stood in lines at collection centers, gave their last resources to donations, and checked every alert. Now, in 2025, most have stopped listening to the word war. Fatigue spreads like a silent virus. People instinctively close themselves off from reality. Donations to the military have fallen dramatically. News from the front lines is ignored. Mental health issues among civilians have more than doubled since 2022. This is not weakness, it is accumulated exhaustion. And in this exhaustion, society becomes most vulnerable. People stop asking, "How can we win?" and start asking, "When will this end?" This is the most dangerous psychological state. In it, nations make fatal decisions, sometimes without even realizing it. The trap of illusory support Ukraine has always assumed the world will stand with it. Yet, reality is more complex. International support is conditional. The world supports you only as long as it aligns with its interests. Already, signs are visible. U.S. direct military aid dropped from $61 billion 2023 to under $25 billion in new budgets. Poland and Slovakia contest Ukrainian grain exports. Hungarian officials openly threaten transit routes. More than 60% of surveyed populations in 2024 opposed further aid. Support is not a guarantee. Weapons, loans, or promises cannot replace trust and strategic clarity. Ukraine is not a NATO member. If tomorrow an offensive strikes the north, the West may express concern, but it will not intervene physically. The trap of internal collapse, the most terrifying trap, is internal decay. This is not the strength of the enemy. It is the loss of belief within. In 2022, the nation was united. In 2025, division is everywhere. Social media posts begin, "We are being betrayed, the government lies, the army stays silent, volunteers steal." Over the past year, the number of trials against volunteers, military personnel, and officials has skyrocketed. Trust in institutions has fallen nearly 30% from its 2022 peak. This is not only corruption or betrayal. It is the erosion of faith in the idea of collective struggle. Without this faith, there is no nation, no defense, no resistance. People trust anonymous telegram channels more than official reports. In such a state, even victory can be poisoned by doubt. Phase of slow deactivation. Boris calls this phase the slow deactivation. A state may appear strong externally, yet inside it is hollow. Fatigue dulls reactions. Illusions of support create false security. Internal distrust slowly destroys the foundation of society, far deeper than any bomb. He warns, "In the USSR we modeled these traps for other nations. The scariest part? How easily we fell into them ourselves. Ukraine is now on this path, but it is the last. Who will break the cycle in time?" Strategic importance of region's territory is not just land, it is leverage. Losing even one critical region can collapse a nation's entire system. Boris outlines each area with clarity. Crimea, historically a point of no return for empires. Losing it fractures the state itself. Donbass, a symbolic and strategic center. Its return is as much ideological as military. Kharkiv, the underestimated hub of logistics and control in the east. Losing it destabilizes the entire Slobozhanщina region. Dnipro, the heart of logistics and moral resilience. Even partial disruption cripples supply lines to east and south. Odessa, the gateway to the world. Without it, Ukraine is isolated, signaling the loss of control over the southern front. Russia, attacks across multiple fronts not to conquer everything, but to remove key nodes, letting Ukraine's system collapse from within. Each city is not just a point on the map. It is a symbol. Misunderstand its meaning, and you lose more than a city. You lose the war itself. 5 questions for the nation. Boris presents 5 questions Ukraine must answer to survive. Do we truly want victory, or are we only afraid of defeat? Motivation shapes the outcome. What is more important? Language, land, or life? Priorities must unite or division will be exploited. Do we still trust anyone beyond ourselves? Distrust invites collapse. Can we forgive without erasing memory? Peace cannot exist without forgiveness. How do we envision victory? With peace or without? Are we a nation or just territory in pain? Without honest answers, the state becomes a hollow shell. But facing truth, even when it hurts, is the path to resurrection. The choice of destiny, we stand at a crossroads. Not because we are weak, but because truth hurts more than shells and bombs. Honest answers are more terrifying than silence after a strike. Yet here, in this threshold of fear and reality, the future is born. If Ukraine finds the courage to call itself not a victim, not a ruin, but a nation that has survived and risen, then darkness cannot break it. We are not a shell. We are the breath of the land, the voice of generations. And it is in our hands to decide, Will we remain silent witnesses of someone else's will, or become the creators of our own destiny? Closing Vision History repeats, not because empires are inevitable, but because humans forget to see the patterns. Boris reminds us, the real war is not fought only with weapons. It is fought within the minds, hearts, and spirits of a people. Ukraine's struggle is both local and global, a mirror of civilization itself. Every choice, every act of unity or doubt, echoes across the future. And though the challenges are immense, the human capacity for foresight, courage, and renewal is far greater. We are entering a new phase, a moment of reckoning, but also of opportunity. If we learn from the past, if we confront the truths we fear, if we act with clarity, determination, and faith, we can transform catastrophe into a rebirth. Boris Zawada's warning is simple yet profound. The future is not written. It is shaped by those who see beyond the horizon and act with wisdom. And now, it is up to us.